Hey, so let's take a look at Nvidia. It's been about a week since we checked in. Last time we looked at this stock, it was trading about 408. Now it's at 432. We also have earnings coming up, so we did like the price at 408. So to see it at 432, we'll see if that's still a good price. But we'll save that for the technical analysis. Before we get there, let's go over the news, just what's been going on with Nvidia over the past week. And honestly, not that much. This was pretty much the only headline that I thought was worth sharing, that Nvidia shares climbed last week as analysts raise targets ahead of their Q3 earnings, or Q2 earnings. So two brokerages raised their price targets for the chip maker, heightening already lofty expectations. So we have Arcuri lifted the price target to 540 from 475. We also have Wells Fargo increasing its price target to 500 from 450. And then Morgan Stanley, I believe, maintaining Nvidia as one of its top picks. So all good things going into this earnings. Of course, we'll actually have to wait and see to know what we can kind of plan for in the future. But that pretty much wraps up the news. I'm going to share one more thing before actually looking at the technical chart. But here just I wanted to show kind of how earnings have, or how the analyst's opinion has evolved over really just a month. So back here, I'm not sure how easy this is to read. It's kind of not organized in the best way, but right here in the middle, we have back in July before they released earnings, I take it, or it must have been before earnings and guidance, because here we're seeing revenue estimated at about $10 billion and earnings per share at less than $2. Then we got earnings, we got guidance, and shortly after we saw a revised edition of that where it was more in line with what Nvidia was actually expecting. So we have this little blurb up here that shows Nvidia's personal Q2 outlook. And what they tell us is they're expecting $11 billion, plus or minus about 2%, with gross margins of about 68 to 70%. So those are really the only two numbers that they're willing to share with us and that we're going to look for is $11 billion. And technically, with that 2% buffer, it could come in probably around like $10.8 billion. And we should theoretically still be like, okay, they did what they said. But as we've seen, analysts are raising the bar just slightly, but it's just making me a little more nervous that they might not meet the analyst expectations, even if they match theirs. And I'm not sure how the market will respond to that. But so basically, what's happened is, again, back in July they were expecting $10 billion. Then after the revenue outlook came out, they updated it to $11 billion, 11.1, and now it's inching closer to 11.2. And of course, this is trickling down the road. So again, because everything's going to kind of happen quickly here once earnings come out. But going back to July, when they expected earnings for this quarter to be $10 billion and the quarter after to be 11, well, now that's already been revised to now 12.5 billion. So even if they hit their earnings for this quarter, if they don't guide something like 12.5, the price could go down. So it is a little bit worrying that the analysts are projecting so highly. It's not surprised because I know how good Nvidia is at this moment, but it's just seeing those elevated prices. It just kind of makes me a little nervous about how will this react if they guide for 12 billion. Are people going to bring them down because, whoa, we were thinking 12.5 and now you're saying 12? It's not the growth that we thought it would be. But we'll just see. Overall, I think we haven't really heard anything that would lead me to believe that they can't reach that 11 billion. It's then again, what are they going to say is guidance for next quarter? I think that's going to be the more pivotal figure because again, nothing I've seen's really kind of caused alarms for me to say, oh, they're not going to reach 11 or even 10.8. I would be okay with that, but we will see. And so, kind of transitioning into the technical analysis, we have down here at the bottom what my tracker looked like after last time we looked at this, where, as I mentioned earlier, it was trading at 408. We liked that price. It was one of our buy points. We had resistance all the way up in the 460s and beyond. We did pick this one up. That's what the purple means. And then we also mentioned how it was in this uptrend since January, and that we saw this accelerated uptrend in the end of May when they released their Q1 earnings and Q2 guidance, and to buy the dips on this. So let's see, technically speaking, what is it looking like now? So here's that dip where I was all for picking this one up. I did pick it up right around 408. Not, maybe it was 409, 407, but right around 408, because that was the dip. We see this uptrend channel that we started back in January, and it played out almost exactly how we would expect it to in this type of pattern, where it definitely had a massive pullback that seemed like it was out of nowhere, but for whatever reason it stopped pretty much exactly on the bottom. And then leading into next week, it actually hit the bottom, climbed back up to kind of the middle of the range. So at this point, I feel like it's a fair value. I'm not overly excited about picking this one up. Ideally, I would like it again at the bottom of the channel. Since we're going into a new week, it would probably be around here, like 418, 417. So not, it's definitely closer to that buy point, but overall, it's not overly exciting, especially with earnings coming out. I would be more patient on this one at this point. Might as well just wait till the earnings come out, unless you have a strong feeling that they're going to do well or poorly. You know, play it as best you can, but at this point, I would just be willing to wait probably like 2-3 days until earnings come out, make the decision at that point. That said, if I saw it pull back to like a 418, a 420, whether it be today or tomorrow, yeah, I'd probably pick it up before earnings, just because it's at the bottom of the channel, at the bottom of the range. It's hitting the price point I'm currently looking at. But again, that's just how I'm intending to play this one. But overall, not much has changed. The uptrend is still in play. That accelerated uptrend that we said kind of began in May, that seems to have pulled back into what I would say the original uptrend, which was just between the green and the blue. We ultimately added that red resistance point because that was the trend at the time, and we just kind of try to fit the narrative as best we can. But outside of that, that's pretty much it. So just a quick update here. We have Nvidia trading at 432. I think it's a fair value. I'm not rushing out the door to get it, but if I had to pick this one up, I wouldn't be upset with this price. Ideally, we're looking for 418. We also put in 424 just to look back. Yeah, there was a little bit of sideways consolidation around 424, so I just threw it in there. So again, it's if anything, it's closer to a good deal than a bad deal, even though it has that fair price rating in my opinion. Resistance, we're not really seeing much until about 503, and that would just be the top of the uptrend range. So that's the figure I'm looking for in case earnings go as well as analysts are expecting, if not better, and it just really shoots off and hits all-time new highs, going past 460, 470. I'd want to see if it peaks at 503 and then stops. If it did, depending on if we needed the money, that would probably be a great spot to sell out of this one, just temporarily, as it would hopefully pull back. But that's down the road. We have to see what happens first to before making that decision. But otherwise, yeah, this is it. We're just waiting on earnings at this point. So um, the updated notes didn't change much, but still in that uptrend, accelerated uptrend after Q1 earnings and Q2 guidance by the dips. But we added that accelerated uptrend appears to have broken at this point. So that's it. If you have any questions or just want to share your opinion, feel free to do so in the comments. But otherwise, please like, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.